Good morning, guys. I'm here with, this guy.
David Smith.
It's a great intro there.
I know.
All right. Well, we actually today we want to kind of slow things down a little bit and address more of the psychological issues that a lot of you are writing in with. Of course, David's been reviewing all of the emails that we've been getting, and there are more and more people who are asking about just the psychological issues when it comes to motivation, binge eating, getting back on track, and I just couldn't think about a better time for us to address that than right now. So, what are some of the questions that people are asking?
Well, the first question I have today is, how do you not binge eat?
And this is something you're really familiar with.
I sure am.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of experience with binge eating.
What was the binging like for you back in the day?
It was non-stop. It'd be late at night, and I would just have wouldn't really care. I would just eat, and try to. That would be my way of escaping.
Mm-hmm. I remember when we first met, you were telling me it really is just like a drug.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's just like a drug. You get that high from it. Unfortunately, with this drug, you can't walk down the street without people noticing your addiction.
Now I remember when we first began the journey and really talking about, and this is where we want to start addressing, how do you not binge eat? Well, the first thing is, don't resist it. The key is to kind of embrace it, to understand what's going on deep down inside and what's going on in the mind, because remember, those voices are talking and they're constantly rationalizing why we should be doing what we're doing. We were talking about what happens when we actually begin to binge, and sure enough, there's that voice that's constantly rationalizing every single thing until, eventually we reach a point where we're blind binging. We say we're zoning out on TV, and you just start going through the bag of chips, and we don't realize that the chips are gone until you reach for it and there just aren't any more left. So one of the best things that you can do is understanding the triggers. And we always hear about triggers, and we read about them on blogs, and we listen to a lot of the talk shows talking about triggers, but really understanding them. One of the best things that we can do, and that we actually started to do once David started going through his transformation, is just understanding those triggers and getting those foods out of the house. Because remember, there's a trigger, and that trigger might be some kind of emotional stress. It might be a conflict. It might be the workload that's coming up. As soon as you get home and you realize that things have to be done, here come all these different triggers that are happening. Sometimes the trigger is a TV show. It's your favorite TV show that you're used to sitting on the couch, grabbing whatever it is that you like to grab, and you watch TV and you start snacking.
Like Family Guy.
like Family Guy. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, it's really important that we understand those triggers and what our behavioral modification is. As soon as our body experiences that trigger, we reach for that food.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the first things that we do is we get that food out of the house. It's kind of like saying, look, if you don't want to drink, don't go to the bar. Because keep in mind, if the food is in the house, you're going to find it. Any addict out there, you've got your stash, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's important that you get that food out of the house, and when you do get it out of the house, I don't mean it as a painful experience, but try to make it a painful experience. Don't finish off the food that's there. You spend money on that food, throw that food away. You have to make a conscious, committed decision to getting it out of the house. And one of the best times to actually clean your house is first thing in the morning. If you actually just set that time, because sometimes that behavioral modification, cause that's really what we're looking for. But a lot of times you'll find yourself picking up food and bringing it back home. First thing in the morning, you're usually in a really clean mindset. Get the food out of the house. Don't kid yourself. Don't try to hide it. Don't, in your room, in the shoebox, in the lower cupboard. If it's there, you know it's there, you're going to eat it. That's just the way it is, and that's human nature. So don't beat yourself up over it. You're just doing exactly what you're designed to do. We're kind of like little hamsters. You want to store it away and save it for a rainy day. Get that food out of the house, and that way, if the food isn't there, when your body goes through that trigger and you go to reach for it, you are consciously in control of that trigger because you don't have that food that you really need. So sorry, I don't mean to get really excited about it just now, but it's really important that you understand those triggers.
Now, what do we do, you know, if we're living in a house with people that don't follow our lifestyle? And of course, they're going to have food that's enticing to us.
That is one of the biggest issues that we have to tackle, because when that happens, your chances of success are greatly diminished. That's just the way it is. If you know where that food is and you know how to get it, your chances of success are greatly diminished. One of the best things you can do is to encourage them and enroll them to join in this lifestyle.
Okay.
If they just don't want to do it, then it's important that they actually keep that food in a place where you cannot get it.
And what really helped me when I was going through this lifestyle change, I had my own cupboard.
Yes.
That was my cupboard. I would only open up that cupboard. My family would have their cupboards, I would have mine. And that really helped me out a lot.
Yeah, that's actually one of the first things that we always recommend is, yeah, separate the food. You got to separate it, because when you open up that cupboard and we're being bombarded with those triggers, sure enough, subconsciously, you don't even have to think about reaching for the food. It just happens. So when you have that own cupboard and it's yours and you own it, that's probably one of the best things that you can do, just to start to get into the groove of experiencing, understanding, and controlling those triggers. Just understanding your body and how our mind works.
All right, here's a good question right here.
Yes.
How do you get back on track after a binge?
Okay. Keep in mind, what's in the past is in the past. You have to let it go immediately. You have to let it go immediately. I'll say it one more time. You have to let it go immediately. It's in the past. Done and over with. Move forward. And don't try to make up for it. Don't say, oh, I binged yesterday, I'm not going to eat today. That's one of the worst things that you can ever do. You get right back on track with your 5 meals, whether it's a high day or whether it's a low day. That's actually why we structure the cycle. Remember, carb cycling, not only is it works physiologically for weight loss, but we structure everything like we do for this lifestyle because it works for your mind. It works psychologically, and we have those high days to allow you to go outside of your house and to reward yourself, but you've got that low day afterward. And so, and that way we're constantly making up for those highs. We drop it right back into a low, and so we can actually reap the benefits off that high. Say you do reward yourself. Keep in mind, if you do end up binging, you really do boost metabolic rate. It's just the way it is. I mean, a binge boosts metabolic rate. Chances are your metabolism is going to be cranking after that. So what we want to do is we say, okay, if we are going to binge, we want to make the best that we can with this situation. And we might as well, let's create some structure to that nutrition, pull some calories, pull some carbs away, and force your body into lipolysis. Because if your metabolism is up, it's cranking, we might as well make the best of it and create a calorie deficit so you're actually burning a lot the next day. So just stay on track. There's something that we always say here, you remember this, stay the course.
Stay
the course.
And like you said, man, just go day by day. You can't live in the past. If I lived in the past, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yep. So stay the course. Don't look back. Even as you're going through your transformation, there are still some days where you fall back and you binge. It happens. It happens. It happens to all of us. No matter what, though, and what happens with so many of us is that we'll binge and then we dwell on it.
Carries on.
Oh, and then here comes the guilt and the hopelessness and the, oh, you know, it's I can't stick to anything. It's in the past. It already happened. Stay in the present, and that is what Dee has lived for the last 2 years. That was the change in the mindset that you really need in order to make this thing happen.
All right. I hope that helped out a lot of people. Until next time.
See you guys.